Um, Hi. This is my second attempt to make this video. I don't know if I'm gonna post these or not, but, okay. So, I started reading these days, All About Love by Bell Hooks, and, it preaches a lot of, having conversations with yourself and understanding your past to start healing from it. And I feel like obviously it's a problem with the whole generation at this point. I feel that a lot of people, their heads don't stop thinking any of the time, so I feel like I don't have a moment that's silent enough for me to kind of simmer down and to have these conversations with myself. And I feel that for a lot of years now, I have lost my way with words. I remember my aunt used to tell me that I was very articulate with my words, that if I had a point I needed to get across, I would do it very well. And I feel like I kind of lost that ability in recent years. And maybe that's because I just stopped talking and defending things as passionately as I did. I had to learn that people, they don't want to listen, so why bother? But I want to, be a well-spoken person, and I want to get over this kind of anxiety that I have, I guess, of just public speaking and rejection and all of these things. So I don't know if I'll be posting these to YouTube or not. Kind of not caring about views, not caring about anything really, but just they're out and I don't care what happens to them anymore. So yeah, this, I don't really know what I'll be talking about. Maybe I should start by saying why I think I'm doing this, besides trying to find my way with words again. So I'm Brazilian. I was born and raised in Brazil, and I moved to the US a year and a half ago. And while I always had, American people in my surroundings, and I went to the US very often, now that all I have are people, from my school and everything like that, I feel like I can't really have deep conversations with people anymore. I feel like in our generation, in Gen Z, there is a huge problem of people ignoring anything philosophical or anything that's minutely just intellectual adjacent, or anything that's deep, to just literally brain rot. And I don't mean that in oh, skibbity toilet 6-7 way. I mean I was talking to one of my friends these days, and she's a very smart person. I love talking to her, and I was talking to her about how I discovered to be bi this year. I had identified as a lesbian for 3-ish years before that, but then I found out I was bi and I started dating a guy, and he ruined my life. He was terrible. And I was talking to her about that, and I feel oh my god, there's such a huge correlation within your own sexuality and your own femininity, because I started going into compulsory heterosexuality and everything like that, and also some reflections on love that I've been having because I've been reading this here book. And I got maybe 3 sentences in, and she was just oh my god, Shakespeare would be crying. And I feel that was kind of my wake-up call, because obviously it's not the first time that I've had attempts to have conversations with people, and they kind of just don't want to, or they can't engage with these topics. But that was kind of the moment where I immediately as it happened, I was like, I can't talk with anybody here. I feel like in Brazil, I was raised around adults, and I feel like that kind of gave me, a personality where I'm more comfortable speaking with these people who know more than me. So I can, give what I know, and they can give other things that I don't know. Because I always feel so dumb compared to adults. So I always, like, whenever I come out of a conversation, I'm like, oh my God, now I have to study this and this and that, to, have even more thoughts and conversations about that. And whenever I go back to Brazil to visit my family, I always have these conversations with my older sister, with her friends, with my mom's coworkers. I feel like I always have the biggest, longest, most productive conversations of my life with these people. Going back to the topic of sexuality that I was trying to talk with my friend, I had a conversation about sexuality with my older sister like a month ago, and it was amazing. And we were talking so much, and I just like gained so many new perspectives, and I just can't have that here. So maybe that's one of the reasons that I started recording this, because it's not any time that I can just like call someone and be like, hey, you want to talk about sexuality and femininity and how it's all related. Like, these conversations happen very naturally. So I feel like I'm just dumping things here, just, like ranting, going around what I think, basically. It's just gonna be a whole lot of me, I guess. Just for like the sake of getting it out and, it being somewhere. So yeah, I've been thinking a lot about my sexuality because I don't like being bi. I don't like having the bi label. I know a lot of queer women who are very biphobic. I've seen a lot of TikToks of, like sapphics being like, oh, I wouldn't date a bisexual because if you date a bisexual, she's gonna leave you for a man. I hate that. When I first found out that I was bisexual and I started going out with this guy, I got thrown into a crisis because whenever somebody said like, oh, you're bi now, oh, you like guys now, as if it's something that is not a process and is not like something that is not just a switch that flips in your head, it made me angry. His friends, when he told them I was dating him, they said like, oh my God, you turned a lesbian straight. And whenever I date guys, because, I dated guys before I identified as a lesbian, and that's what made me start identifying as a lesbian, because I was like, oh my God, I'm not happy. Like, I've gotten a lot of shit for going back and forth, but it's like, you never turn. I feel like whenever I'm with men, I tend to get more straight. Because I become less comfortable with myself and I become more dependent on visuals, because men are very visual. So, with a girl, I often feel like, I'm gonna write poetry and I'm gonna, be super nice and I'm gonna be super artsy, because there is more freedom of expression of these, like weird things about yourself. But with guys, it's like, oh my God, I gotta look hot all the time. And it's draining, but it also feels great, especially for people who have, like issues with male figures in their life, like me. I feel that paired with low self-esteem, that male validation of guys looking at you and going like, oh my God, you're so hot. It's like a drug. It makes you feel better. but it's not taking care of any underlying issues with yourself. Like girls will have you do, you know, like, because girls, they're gonna be the ones like, I don't care if you're hot, you have to be a good person. I don't know. With guys, I feel like my track record is a lot of guys who are internalized misogynists, and that amplifies my need for perfection, for female perfection at all times. I got bullied, quite literally bullied into being femme. I used to, during the pandemic, I wore super baggy clothes. I had an undercut, like, and I didn't care. I did not care. But it was only when I went to a Catholic school and I started, you know, like, people started making fun of me because I had short hair and I wore like goth makeup, and, you know, like, when you present differently from a straight society, people are going to single you out. And so I feel like a lot of people, especially post-pandemic, they felt, even if unconsciously, the need to regress back into being straight. Oh my God, the number of women that I know that identified as bi or lesbian or non-binary or anything under the LGBT umbrella, that now said like, oh no, it was just a phase. Like, these people were experimenting. We were moving towards, you know, a more accepting society. But now, I feel like it is only when I am with a woman, that I feel comfortable wearing baggy clothes and be presenting more mask. Whenever I'm in a sapphic relationship, I feel the urge to cut my hair short and be like, oh my God, I hate having long hair. I hate it so much. Sometimes I just want to buzz it all off. I hate washing it. I hate taking care of it because now my hair is straight. I'm a like 2A, 2B, curl, like wavy hair person, and I hate taking care of it. And I hate everything about having long hair. But yet, it is one of the only things that make me feel pretty. So it's only when you're with a girl that you stop relying on being pretty all the time. And personally for me, I feel that it's because, yeah, like, there's just less pressure. Girls, they're more based on feelings and on, you know, like, respect and all these things. And I feel also that it's because there is a separation, even with guys who deem themselves feminists or whatever. I feel that there's a separation between a girl world and a boy world. When you're in a same-sex relationship, I don't know if this is the case for gay men and, you know, like, queer male relationships, but I feel like, at least for sapphics, in my case, all my sapphic relationships up to this point have been femme for femme. I feel that there's a much deeper emotional connection, because who's going to understand women better than women? Whatever Chapel Roan said, only a woman knows how to treat a woman right. You understand each other's bodies better because, you know, biologically it's the same as yours. You understand the feelings and the, you know, like, implications of being a woman better because you are a woman. You've dealt with this your whole life. You've dealt with the compulsory heterosexuality. You've had a lot of the time similar processes of finding out you were queer, and I feel like a lot of the time that causes a very deep mutual respect. But even when you connect very deeply to guys, they're gonna be like, oh, but I can't, like, bring you to my friends, and I can't, like, you can't become part of my world because it is different from yours in an essential way. In my femme to femme relationship, femme for femme relationships, you know, like, you can go shopping together, you can do girl stuff because there's no shame in that. It is something that you share. With guys, it's like, oh, You're dragging him to the mall, and he doesn't even want to do anything there. He's just going because you're a girl, and and girls like shopping and guys like video games. And I hate that. I feel that it's just terrible to not be part of someone's world in that essential way, that even when you're that together, you can't share a world. There has to be a separation. Even when you're part of the same group, even when you bond over everything. And that makes me sad. I feel like I'm a very outspoken person. You know, like stereotype of the wild woman, whatever. And that has caused me a lot of problems with my male relationships, because a lot of the times I keep up with being perfect and being this stereotypical version of a manic pixie dream girl that that I think they want me to be. So, you know, I doll myself up on every date. I always, you know, I have to either put myself as this submissive little creature or this super hot woman who, whatever. But when I start showing that I am more than that, that I want to sit down and have these conversations about these things that guys don't think about, like femininity, in a way that's actually beyond just saying like, oh yeah, I'm a feminist, I support women voting, and you know, like you actually address their rooted issues. They always take an offense to that, because they don't have to look into themselves deeply. Guys do not have, I think they don't have to analyze themselves deeply at all. Girls, I feel like since you're born, there's this innate sense of guilt associated with being a woman, that you have to constantly look at yourself. At my old schools, I always noticed that when a guy was, you know, like fat or like out of the norm in any way, even if he wasn't, the hot guy, he still had friends. They still had fun with him. He was still invited to things. He was still, you know, like, of course there's things like, oh, he's treated as a joke, but I feel like when you go to girls who are fat in middle school, their lives are hell. Nobody wants to be friends with you. Nobody wants to look at you. Liking you is the biggest insult that somebody can, you know. And I feel like that fucks you up. You were taught to simmer down and to either be hot or be funny. And in a way that makes you look at yourself and feel bad in a way that a lot of guys don't feel. There's an inherent shame to being a woman, is what I'm trying to say, I suppose. I want to become more poignant with my words. But yeah, I don't know how to connect my ideas. I'm kind of just ranting here. I'm just here with my can of iced tea, like, I don't know. Yeah, I think that's it. I'm reading all about love. Maybe I'll record another video just talking about it. And, you know, there's a lot of books that I want to read and talk about. I really like All About Love because it's quite easy to read, and I can relate a lot to my life, which makes it even easier to read for me. Yeah. Okay.